Good morning, Service Geeks. It's Frank, the Service Geek, on the Service Geek podcast. I hope you guys are having a great Tuesday morning. Here it's raining. I'm on my route now. This is live from the route on Tuesday. Let me double check one thing with my guy. While you guys are getting on, and let's see here. I want to see how bad the weather is all over the place right now because it's ugly where I'm at. And I'm trying to, it's horrible. I'm going to be able to get my inspections done. I got a attic treatment that I need to do, and I've got a termite inspection today. So, it's going to be a busy little day. I'm trying to take it easier. I'm trying only to do about 5 appointments a day. Let me shut this off a little bit so that way there's not raining that much right now. That way we can hear it. But, I talked about last week about the chances of a tech starting up, okay? And what are the probabilities? The chances are that 90+% of your techs will not start up because they just don't have the DNA. They don't have the money. They're not salespeople. The people you got to worry about is the ones that hustle. The ones that are hustlers, your A players, those are the ones that have the biggest chance of starting up. The people that are just want to be techs, that they don't want to do anything else in the company, the chances of them starting up is even slimmer. But let's say that, and a lot of people were like upset because, well, I had my tech start up, 2 of them started up, and they go into a fit of rage because somebody started up. Let me double check why this microphone is on. Let's cancel that. I'm in my development. I'm getting out of my house. It's a dreary day. It's like rain everywhere in South Florida. I don't think we're going to be able to get much done outside today unless this thing clears up. But it's just get over here on my side. Actually, I need to just cancel this. Let me get out of here. I'm going to pull over so I don't keep driving. I don't want to be driving and texting. We're going to cancel that. Go back to my map and get my map in the system. And we're golden. People get all bent out of shape about technicians starting up as if an employee owed you an eternal loyalty to just go do something else, go to another job, go to another company, and never start up. I mean, that's, a lot of solo operators that are reluctant entrepreneurs, which most of them are, have this idea that business and going into business, that there is there's business for everybody. Nobody has to compete against each other. I said, you guys are living in fantasy land because business is competitive. And unless you have a competitive streak, you can't get past yourself. You can't get past, what they want to do is become solo operators because they hit the ceiling at the amount of money they were going to make, or they were treated really badly. I did a podcast, oh Jesus, I don't know, I think like 6-7 years ago, while most companies are breeding their competition. I've had people call me and said, I started my company because I heard that podcast. I just had this week a guy text me, message me, hey man, I hope you're doing well and everything, just to let you know that I started up because I was listening to your podcast. Most people are going to start up and you can't do anything about it, those that are going to start up. The idea that they owe you this eternal loyalty because you treated them like family and you taught them everything they know, and then they went ahead and started up like they betrayed you, is the silliest notion you have to get over. I mean, this is your ego at play here, where somehow you don't want anyone to compete against you. You want to be in a market where no door knockers ever come to your client's door and lie to them. You want to be in a market where nobody takes your customer. And why other companies take your customer? Nobody takes your customer. Here's number one: customers aren't yours. The customers are free to go wherever they want. It's a buyer's market. You don't own the customer. Even if you have a contract, that customer will bring you to your knees if he wants to, give you a bad review and tell you you're the worst thing, since Satan and the pit of hell. And you will end up canceling that contract, giving them their money back just so they will remove the review. How do you think companies that sell multi-millions of dollars end up with 5-star reviews? You think they're that good? Come on, you're kidding yourself. So this notion that the employee is going to start up and you're pissed about it is an issue where you're not dealing in reality. You're living in illusion. And everybody's going to get to the point where corporate downsizing is now a thing again. Google has laid off thousands of people, and you have a market where the gig economy is the thing, and 60 to 70% of people say they want to start a business. And you're like, I just had my wife was talking to a friend who she worked at this company for 20 something years, and they just got rid of her. Why? For one simple reason: you're in your 50s, you're making top dollar, sales are down across most companies because the economy is tough, not every sector is doing good, and now they got rid of her after 20 something years. She's looking for a new job. Good luck when you're making $70,000, $80,000 a year, getting fired from a large company, going to a smaller company, and being able to make that kind of money. So a lot of people choose to become consultants. A lot of people choose to become subcontractors for other companies. And a lot of your employees who are in their late 40s are going to start up because they have nowhere to go but down, and they're going to start up. And if you're pissed about them taking your clients, then what steps did you take to ensure that you had a no contact agreement? Because a non-compete is not going to stand up in a lot of places. Not from an employee. Not unless you own stock, you were partial owner. Not unless that happened. Make sure this is off. So did you have a no contact agreement? Do you have the money? Do you have the money to go after them if they took one of your clients? Can you prove it? And if you can prove it, do you have the money to take them to court and drown them in court before they can even get off the ground? But that's not right. Well, you shouldn't be taking anybody's customers. You never take anybody. You will pay a price for that eventually. If your customer wasn't loyal to them and went to you, what does that say about your customer? You think your customer is going to be loyal to you? A reason people are leaving a lot of companies are growing. And they're giving bad service now. And we got to watch that as we grow, because we're finding out where things break right away. As I'm growing, I'm finding out where the vulnerabilities are and what breaks first. And how do we, keep customers when they got used to a level of service and now our level of service just went down a bit, or we just couldn't get to them because we're just overwhelmed with being short-staffed and we couldn't get to that customer quits. And employees are seeing this and going, man, I'm just better off not dealing with this drama and just starting up. The worst you can do is say, well, we're just not going to train them really well so that if they quit, they don't have a leg to stand on because they're not going to start up. I said, that's the most asinine thought that I've ever heard, because companies already that are growing are not training their people as well as they should because it's darn hard. So you're not going to train them. Now, I allow my people to manage. Therefore, I have to give them the tools to manage. I got to let them know where their KPIs are. Your callbacks can't go above this. Your chemical costs are too high. What are you doing? I got to be in the field training, correcting. And what's going to happen is they figure out operations, but they don't figure out marketing. They don't figure out sales. I don't share with my people. I have a course that I teach for SEO. Some of the people that have taken it says it's way too much. I don't have the time to do it. I don't have the energy to do it. What makes you think that an employee is that motivated to spend 20, 30 hours doing marketing and learning marketing? Which they think they don't need it, but they do. So you should be taking marketing courses, you should be taking sales courses, because most of you can't sell. What I hear most common from technicians turned business owners is that, look, if I got somebody in front of me, I can talk to them, but they suck at prospecting. They don't want to do anything. So how are you going to get your business other than steal the client? You don't have that many friends and family. You're going to run out of those soon. What you're going to figure out is this is a lot harder. What we don't see in the posts and in Facebook and in all the groups is the number of people that started up and decided it wasn't for them after 1 year, 2 years, and they quit and went to go back to working for somebody else. Nobody talks about that. It's not sexy. People would rather watch a podcast and let sunshine be pumped up their tailpipe where they're being sold a purple unicorn and everything is rainbows than to listen to a podcast like this one where I'm telling you how hard it's going to be, because you never hear on any of the podcasts what they actually went through to get to where they are. You only hear about, oh yeah, it was tough, it was 100, it was 80 hours, I slept in my office, I did this, but nobody talks about some of the stuff they had to do that was very distasteful in order to get there. The fact that I come on, and let me do this because I want to see if anybody's got any messages. I'm an owner operator. I own my own company, and I have one technician, and I have an admin, and I'm looking for another technician now. Yeah, Disneyland. Go back to Disneyland rides. Tell me about getting off my phone. Thanks a lot. You guys are like, the nonsense I get on this, it's ridiculous. Nobody has anything intelligent to usually add to the conversation. Very few people. There we go. Somebody called me and knocked me off the air. My apologies. So the chances of them starting up is slim. Sorry, folks. I got to do it. I got to hook up this app on another phone where I'm not going to get interrupted. But it's people just decide they're going to keep calling marketers and keep calling me. The chances of you making it past 5 years, the chances of you ever getting to profitability is less than 50%. The average solo operator, on average, the average business owner, the average person that goes solo operator working for a company only really makes about 3% more than they used to, on average. I know that some of you are going to jump in, and the ones that do great, the ones that are doing great and did great, are going to say, well, I made more in my first year than I ever did working for anybody else. I understand. You're the exception. You're not the rule. And the problem is that people listen to the exception rather than the rule, and they don't look at the reality of the stats. And then when they can't make it, they're like, they're demoralized, wondering what they're doing wrong, not realizing that the odds were always against you, and you have to overcome the odds. You have to be competitive. And most people don't have a competitive streak in them when it comes to business. I have a very competitive streak, and I choose to be competitive in one arena or two arenas where I know that I can be successful because I've proven I can be successful in those arenas. I don't try to be in every arena. And that's what a lot of these guys don't understand, that it's going to take them 2, 3, 4, 5 years, 10 years before they figure it out. If they go to the right conferences, if they hang around with the right groups and they hang out with the right people and they get mentors, good luck, because everyone's busy, and they get mentors right away, people who actually have started a successful business, how they've done it, look at different views, but they still have to develop the skill set. You got to develop a sales skill set. You have to develop a marketing skill set. You have to develop a financial and reporting and tracking skill set in order to be able to grow and scale a company. The fact is that if one of my guys quit and went into competition against me, he doesn't have a brand. The only option he has the only option that I see, and I see this continuously, and this is what irritates a lot of you, and I'm going to tell you why it won't matter. The only way they're getting customers is dropping their prices 30 to 50% what they used to charge, thinking that if I lower my price, all these people will come to me and I will have more customers than my company ever had. Yes, you will. You will have a lot of work and you will have no money and no time to enjoy it. Because every single consultation I do, without fail, they're grossly underpriced. And this is why they can't do anything. I had a call from a guy the other day, and I said, well, where are you? I says, well, I'm about the middle price in the market. I says, who is higher than you? The big brands. Imagine that. All the big brands are higher priced than him. He's not the middle price in the market. He's killing himself going, I don't know what to do. People are balking, this and that. I says, you need a sales presentation, man. Why don't you go in and sell it for 30% more than those crappy brands that are selling ready-made cheeseburgers, and sell it at 30% more than they are. And because you really haven't done a market analysis, you've taken the price of 10 people in your market, all of which are solo operators, all of which are lowering their price, and you're basing it on that. When I decided my pricing model, I figured out who were the most expensive in the market. And what I find is you will not succeed at growing a business when you're underpriced, because your mentality is, I'll quit. I'll take every job that comes. I will be drowning in work. I will have no time to go out and get quality customers because I'm going to take every cheap customer out there. I will take all the customers from them that complained about the pricing and think that I'm going to get ahead. What you're going to do is going to shoot yourself in the head. That's the reality of what I see with most solo operators. They don't understand business. They never understood the business. They understood the work of the business. And what they did is they bought themselves a job, because you're not a CEO of a company when you're just you. You can call yourself whatever you want, but you're not a real CEO. I mean, unless you understand business models, and you guys are nuts. Unless you understand the business models, unless you understand the marketing models, I understand the sales models, the financial models. All you understand is the tech work. You might have done sales for the company, and now you know sales. Well, you're better ahead to start up than 99% of people that you work with. And that's what most people are up against starting up. And all of these people have their arms in the air. I trained them, and I trained them well, and he quit. And then, oh man, I treated them like family. I love it when people say, oh, we treat our people like family. I don't know if you've seen most families, but most families are really dysfunctional. I mean, think about your family and says, do you want to be treated like that? No, we don't treat employees like family, because they're not family. They're employees. One day you will have to make a hard financial business decision, and you will have to let go of that family member. And that family member is going to be resentful because they can't understand how they devoted themselves to you, and you still had to let them go. When you find a downturn, or you overexpanded too quickly, or you made bad investments, or the marketing that you spent on didn't produce the ROI, you hired that person anyway. You overhired because you read in the books overhire. Well, you can overhire when you have 5 people, and you can overhire by 20%. When you're an operator like me, you can't overhire by 50%. You will drown. You can't just go out and hire somebody for the sake of hiring. But where are you going to get the money? You're going to borrow it? And then in the hopes, you're going to borrow 50 grand for a year's salary in the hopes that that business is going to go your way, in the hopes that that marketing you invested in is going to go your way. So people get all upset saying they treat people like family, and people quit. Let me ask you this. If divorce rates are over 50% and people have no problem cheating on their spouse, what makes you think they're going to stay loyal to you? It's totally, people live in this, like I said, this rainbows, unicorns and sunshine mentality, when that's not the reality. This is where I see every time I'm doing a consultation, where I keep seeing the idealistic mentality of what it should be like versus what it really is. And that is what most people cannot handle in business, is the bad taste. A lot of those decisions are going to leave in your mouth, okay, whether you like it or not. And you're going to have to, what are you going to do when you grow to 5 people and the technician that you started with decides he's not growing anymore? He's done. After 5 years, he doesn't want to grow anymore. He doesn't want to learn anymore. He doesn't want to step up to the plate and be a service manager. He doesn't want to be in sales. He doesn't want to be a manager. He just wants to be a tech at top pay, making $50,000, and he doesn't want to be a lead tech. He doesn't want to take on responsibilities. But everybody has surpassed him in the company. Are you going to bottom trim and say, look, bud, you pretty much are where you're at, and you're not going to get better, and I can't keep giving you raises and bonuses? Because the issue with business is, what have you done for me lately? Customers want more. They demand more. Customers are smarter than ever. Customers know more of what's going on than ever. And when you decide you're going to fall behind, you want to cruise now. You're at a company where you've been there for 5, 6, 7, 8 years, and now you want to cruise. Well, the problem is business doesn't have time to cruise, especially one like mine that's growing. If you come to work for me because you worked at one of these large brands, okay, and you're exhausted and you're tired and you don't want to do a lot of this stuff anymore, you want to cruise, you can't go work for a small business owner, because we need you to wear multiple hats, do multiple things. And I don't have time for people that want to just coast and hide in a company. When you're a growing company, you decide you want to grow, you got to get people that want to grow. The people that started with you when you were slow, when you weren't bringing it on, now you're a faster paced company, they can't handle it. But they were loyal to you, and what do? You got to let them move on. To it with several people that couldn't handle the pace at that time. And I can't slow down and allow everyone that wants to drag their feet to catch up. So this is the reality, folks, that if people do quit on you and they do start up, at least have a non-contact agreement. Be prepared to get into a legal fight. And this is why people say, this is why I don't want to hire. I don't want to deal with any of those headaches. Then you can't grow, because you have to deal with the headaches. The headaches are part of the game. Concussions, if you want to play football, concussions are part of the game. You want to be a boxer, concussions are part of the game. You can't say, I don't want to get hurt and be in business. You're going to stay a solo operator. You're going to work yourself to death, take all the profit, go put it into a nice retirement fund, go put it into real estate, go flip a house, and invest your money somewhere else. Don't stay just working and spending the money, because there's going to come a time where you just are not going to have enough, and you're going to get sick, and you're going to get injured, and the economy is going to get tough, and you're going to lose clients, and salespeople are going to knock on their doors and lie to them and tell them that you suck as a company and you're out of business. Your competitors are going to market to them. In the 18 years that I've been in business, I've only had 2 companies, 2 customers transfer from a local little branch. It's because they were growing, and the customer did not like the fact that they were growing, and they wanted to go to a smaller company. And I made it clear, that's a good company. I would not quit them. I know the owner. I would call them. Can we work this out? How can we make it better? But don't quit that company. Now, if they insist on quitting and saying no, I've had people say, well, they don't offer organic pest control. We just had a kid. We just had a puppy. Well, you're going to lose a lot of business in the future to holistic companies like mine if you only want to be a baseboard company. I had a company call me the other day, a customer. No, I have a guy, but all he does is spray inside, and I want to switch, and I want a more natural. And then I give her my prices, but why is your price 3 times more than his? He only charges me $35 a month. I said, well, you've got a solo owner, and you're asking a company to do a very exclusive service. They're never going to quit. They're going to keep with that guy because they realize they don't want to pay the price. And it's very simple. Everything comes with a price. Your people, now I'm telling you, folks, the majority are people that you hire. You usually will hire the wrong person out of desperation. You'll hire somebody that you need because you're desperate. That person can talk a good game. That person always had the intention of starting up. And there's nothing you're going to be able to do to stop it. To start, they're going to start. I was clear at the beginning that I wanted to start my own business and I wanted to learn. And they were okay with that. And the owner was closing up shop anyway soon. His kids didn't want his business. Turns out that 6 months after I got my certifications with him, he passes away. That's just what happens in life. And I hope that all I can talk about, folks, is my experience in the last 20 years of running a pest control business, my experience in growing, the journey that I'm going through now, where I used to talk about technique and biology, and now I'm talking about the reality of growing, because a lot of people do want to grow, but a lot of people are being taken for a ride by companies that and people who want to do a lot of selling their next course and making you think that if you just buy the course, you're going to be instantly successful because they have all these success stories. Well, you still have to learn the skills and you still have to be able to execute. And without that, I don't care what it is that you do, what course you buy, how many videos you watch, how many podcasts you listen to, how many conferences you go to. You can't grow the business unless you're willing to learn the skills and go through the pain of learning the skills and going through the pain of growing. And part of growing is losing people. And part of growing is having people start up and even start up against you. And it doesn't concern me one bit because I can't change what's going to happen. You know what's funny is I'm here at my customers. I'll give you a story. Before I was in business for myself, I was a pastor and I was involved in ministry for about 15 years. And at every pastor's conference I ever went to, the conversation always had to turn to, oh, you see his church is growing and he's taking my members. I mean, I see it everywhere. People accusing each other of taking their members. I've heard it from pastors that they leave on vacation and they have to bring a pastor from outside, fly him in, because there's nobody at that church that can preach. Nobody can preach. Only him. And when I ask, why is it that you bring, because there's nobody here. Why don't you train people and lift them up? Says, well, if I do, they're going to leave and they're going to start their own church and they're going to take members with them. That is literally the fear. Everybody's operating out of fear of losing members, and the only thing that matters is the members. And then you see the churches that grow, and they have 3, 4, 5, 6 associate pastors. They have 10,000 members. People complain, a mega church, but you can take the principles and you can take the examples and you can do your own thing. But the last thing you want to do is say, I'm never going to raise anybody up to be a manager, because the moment I train them to be a manager, they're going to know everything about the business now and the finances, and they're going to know this and that, and they're going to quit and they're going to start up. So therefore, you'll never get past 4 or 5 technicians because you want to be the manager and you want to be the owner and you want to be everything, because you don't want to lose control, because everything is really out of fear. You don't grow because you're afraid. Because you're afraid to hire, you're afraid to lose people, you're afraid to lose customers, you're afraid, versus then the upside, that for every one of those that quit, loses, you gain 10. Hey, this is Frank, the Service Geek, wishing